Montana is known for having lots of wilderness, but even there, some places are more wild than others. The Missouri River carves through the landscape, and for 149 miles, it passes through the Breaks, a rugged badlands of sandstone and shale. Very few people visit this area, and fewer still are the photographers willing to brave this remote wilderness.
I'm professional photographer Ian Plant, and I travel the world looking for the most amazing places and subjects to capture with my camera. And I have the privilege of working with some of the best photographers on the planet. And for this adventure, I am joined by Joseph Roybal from Colorado. He's a very talented photographer, and together we are going to tackle the Upper Missouri River Breaks for a week of paddling photo adventure. Along the way, we will encounter many challenges, including high heat, heavy rains, strenuous physical activity, and hordes of biting insects.
Woohoo! I'm king of the world!
2 photographers, 7 days, 1 mission to get the shot, no matter what.
Joseph and I decide to paddle the White Cliffs section of the river, which contains 46 miles of the most epic scenery in the Breaks. We load up our canoe with enough supplies for a week of wilderness camping and head out as the early June heat begins to warm the day.
So for the entire 46-mile float that we have on the Upper Missouri River, we are heading downstream. And the current is moving pretty fast, probably 5 or 6 miles per hour. So it's really easy paddling downstream. But it also makes it difficult for us if we pass something and then we decide later that we want to head back. Paddling upstream against that current is going to be very taxing. So we're trying to be strategic about things. As we head downriver, we carefully assess each feature that we see, and if we think it looks really good, then we'll stop there and camp and make some photographs of the area. And we've given ourselves a little bit of extra float time so that if we spot a location that we really like, we can stay there an extra day or 2 if necessary, if the weather doesn't work out for us. So we're trying to be rational about it, and we're trying to use the current to our advantage to minimize the amount of energy we have to put into getting from point A to point B and maximizing the energy we have for creative photography.
So one of the big challenges on a multi-day trip like this is the need for power. And everything we have with us here on this trip requires a ton of battery power, from the small things like our Kindle books to our cameras and video cameras. So we've been really needing to keep all of this charged, and how have we been doing that? The really awesome thing that we have at our disposal today are solar panels and battery banks, and that's what we've been using. It's been great.
So we've got lots and lots of really expensive electronics, and of course we're spending a lot of time on the water, which is a recipe for disaster. So everything goes into dry bags and everything is securely lashed to the canoe, so in the off chance that we do flip over at some point, we're not going to lose anything, nothing is going to get wet, and we're going to be able to keep on shooting.
During our first day of paddling, the terrain quickly changes. At first, the landscape is mostly flat with a few rolling hills, but soon cliffs and rock outcrops rise on either side of the river. The current, fueled by heavy rains the day before, seems to pick up its pace, hurtling us downstream, and we cover 15 miles in just a few hours. Eventually, we reach our destination for the day, a campsite surrounded by some of the most dramatic scenery in the Breaks. As night approaches, we settle in for the evening, knowing that we have to get up early the next morning for our first sunrise on the river. What a beautiful morning and an epic start to the trip. This is our first morning at our first campsite. Got up at 4:30 a.m. and the sky was already glowing with color. A bunch of clouds moved in overnight and there was a gap on the eastern horizon. So those clouds were just lighting up in the pre-dawn glow. So worked a number of compositions with the white cliffs in the background and the river in the foreground, and just kept working through the progression of light. So I worked the twilight glow, and that transitioned over to the clouds lighting up with stunning color. Just the whole sky went red, and all that light was reflected down onto the landscape. So these white sandstone cliffs were glowing pink in that pre-dawn light, and now the sun's getting a little bit higher. It seems to have gotten into the clouds, but it looks like the light is breaking through, so it's time for me to start phase 3 of my morning shoot, and that's light on the landscape. After the morning shoot, we decide to stretch our legs and explore the rocky terrain along the river. We encounter a pleasant surprise. We've hiked up into the slot of Neat Coulee, and this is a narrow white sandstone canyon. And I'm hoping to get a little bit of that magical slot canyon glow in here. Now this isn't red sandstone like you get in Arizona or other places, so it's not going to have that really intense color glow, but a little bit of glow in here can create some color variation. What happens is rocks at the top of the canyon, they're glowing in the sunlight, and they will glow strongly enough that they'll reflect some of that light down deeper into the canyon. And that's what creates that famous magical slot canyon glow. So I'm waiting for that to happen. I've got a wide angle shot set up so I can get some of these sandstone features, these striations in the rock, as leading elements that will help lead the viewer's eye from near to far, deeper into the composition.
Cool, so what I'm doing here is I'm utilizing a lot of these leading lines in this slot canyon to draw the viewer's eye into the frame, starting with, a darker foreground, the light at the back. With the lines and the light, that will help pull the viewer's eye through. I'm also utilizing I'm bracketing a bit here for different exposure values to try to get some of the highlights and the shadows, and then later I'll do a bit of blending as necessary. Also doing a bit of focus stacking, since so many of these features here in the foreground are so close to the camera, and then in the distance we have those that are further. So I'm wanting to make sure everything in the frame is as sharp as possible, as clean as possible, keeping my ISO at the base I can, native ISO 100 in here, really just trying to keep everything as clean, as sharp, as simple as possible. That creates a lot of viewer interest.
So the light is hitting the rocks at the top of the canyon, and that is just glowing really brightly. And that light is bouncing down into the shadowed interior of the canyon. So there's parts of the canyon that you can see some of that in the background where we've got that brighter glow going on, and then other parts are deeper in shadow, like right here in front of me, and that's going to be a lot darker. So we have a transition in our photographs from dark to light and from cool to warm, because the deeper shadowed parts are going to be rendered bluish in the final photograph because they're being illuminated primarily by light from the blue sky above. And so all this white sandstone in here is going to take on the color of the light. So that blue light coming down is going to make this dark shadowed foreground bluish, and that bright reflected light
is going to be warmer in the background. So I think this is going to be really nice. This was a real pleasant surprise. I didn't expect to be doing slot canyon photography here in Montana, but I'll take what I can get. Well, that was a fun little adventure. That slot was a lot better than I expected, and I think with that glow during the midday sun, we actually got some good shots. But right now the sun is high overhead, so there's light coming directly into the canyon, so it's no good. And it's beginning to look like there are some big puffy white clouds moving in. It might be that there are thunderstorms building up this afternoon. With any luck, cross my fingers, maybe we'll get some great light at sunset. So I think now it's time for us to hike back to camp, break up camp, load up the canoe, and start heading downriver to our next site.
After spending 2 nights at our first campsite, we are eager to get on our way. We launch our canoe, enjoying the summer sunshine and heat, and we lazily paddle, letting the strong current sweep us downriver. But by the time we reach our next campsite, clouds have covered the sky in a cloak of gray, and our prospects for getting great light at sunset seem to fade. After we set up camp, we begin to explore and see what the area has to offer.
Key to making great photos of any area you go is scouting. You have to get out there and find the good compositions, and you have to think creatively about how sunrise and sunset light might work with the various landforms. But if you're just sitting around camp or hanging out in your hotel room or sitting in your car, you're never going to find those great shots. So right now, Joseph and I are spending as much time as we can during the middle of the day just exploring, getting out there, seeing what there is to offer in this area, and finding the good shots so that we can return when the light is right and make the shots that we want. Day 3 of our Missouri River adventure, and some storm clouds have moved in. It's very cloudy. There's a lot of texture to the clouds, so I'm hoping that maybe in time for sunset there'll be a break to the west and we'll get these clouds to light up. But in any event, we want to get out here to these really nice cliff formations in the background here and do some scouting. So even if we don't get the good light tonight, then tomorrow morning maybe we can find something good for sunrise. So we're gonna hike up into the hills. It looks like we've got a few hundred feet of vertical ascent, maybe some scrambling around the cliffs, but we're gonna go out there, check it out, and see if we can find something good.
This is quite a hike. It's really, really incredible up here though, being able to see all the area, the expanse of the Missouri. We're up here tonight, we're just doing a little bit of scouting to try to get some ideas for the morning. I was saying to Ian that these rocks remind me a bit of Old Manus Store in Scotland. Just the way they just shoot out of the ground, it's kind of like these fingers, and so we're up here tonight to try to really get some ideas. I think we're gonna go probably this direction here. It's all an experience, it's all an adventure, so fingers crossed.
It was a tough climb getting up here, but this scenery is epic, and unfortunately the clouds are too thick tonight. We're not going to get any good sunset light, so I think it might be worth us staying here another night, camping in this location, crossing our fingers that if we come back tomorrow night we'll get the perfect light to bring this scene together.
Lucky for us, our campsite has a wonderful 3-sided shelter and a few visiting cows from a nearby ranch. We spend the long hours of the day inside the shelter, away from the rain and the bugs, resting and relaxing, and preparing to return to the cliffs we scouted the day before for another try at getting great sunset light.
Another day and another thunderstorm passing through. It's been like this for the past 2 days. where it starts out really sunny, it gets very warm, and then thunderclouds build up in the afternoon. So last night we were at this location, we found some great scenery, but the storms that built up ruined our chances of getting good photographs at sunset. We went back out at sunrise. Once again, we didn't get any good light. So we have been sitting here all day in camp at this location for a chance to get out there again at sunset and sunrise tomorrow morning before we have to move downriver to our next camping location. So the rain's coming in and it's beginning to come down pretty hard, and it's still several hours until sunset, so hopefully this will start to break up around sunset. We'll get some gaps in the western horizon, get some light coming through, and get this shot. I really want to get this shot tonight or tomorrow morning. We've got 2 more chances to make this work before we have to move on. So we're going to work really hard, and we're going to keep our fingers crossed and hope that we get it. The rain has stopped, so now we're going to rush out to those formations in the distance. There's still some thunder rumbling, and the skies look a bit ominous, but we see some clearing in the west, so hopefully this is going to happen for us. All right, let's go.
So we've been climbing up this hill, so muddy, so stressful to get up here, just a ton of energy. You know, the clouds, everything's been working against us the last couple of days. But this right here, this is what we've been hoping for. This light coming through, these clouds shining onto these rocks, giving these faces some really nice warmth against this blue, dark clouds, and they've got a ton of texture. So fingers crossed, like Ian said, that we're gonna have some really awesome light tonight, because this is a slug, but this is what we're here for.
This looks like an impenetrable wall of stone, but there's a secret entrance. Come on, follow me.
I get a little bit of mud off. That's tough.
This is the worst part. Pretty much a vertical cliff of sandstone. It looks like someone's carved some footholds into the rock, but they're not very big. And this is very slippery, especially after it's rained. But it's the only way up to the top. So here goes nothing.
I'm king of the world!
Okay, so here we are. We've made it to the top. We are on the westerly side over here. And what we discovered yesterday was we have options. And that's the biggest part and the biggest key, one of the biggest points when you're scouting for your location. Don't get boxed up in thinking you have to shoot the spot you want. Always look around. Looking around over here, we found a lot of formations that we were able to work with, and we could work with tonight if the light doesn't cooperate where we exactly want it to. So that's what I'm doing right here, is I'm going to set up and take what I like to call a safety shot. That's in case nothing else works out for the day, for the night. I still have something that I can go home with. And that's one thing that I always encourage people to try to do, is keep that in mind and take that safety shot.
This is why we've spent several days and several nights in the wilderness. This beautiful cathedral of white sandstone. It is epic scenery, and I think conditions look pretty good. Even though it's raining on me right now, there is a big gap on the western horizon, and the sun is going to eventually hit that gap in the clouds, and we're going to get some light. And that's maybe 20 minutes away, so what I'm going to do until then is I'm going to scout for as many good compositions as I can, maybe pick 2 or 3 of the best ones, so when the light hits, I'll be ready to go, and hopefully one of those shots will emerge as the one photo that makes this entire trip worth it. It is happening. This light is epic, and those storm clouds are amazing. Time for me to shut up and shoot while I still have light. What an epic sunset. This was everything we were hoping it would be. We got some great light, these beautiful dramatic storm clouds. We had lightning bolts going off in the distance. It was amazing. It's getting dark. There's more rain coming in. Probably a good idea for us to climb down and head back to camp. But you know what? There's a lot of great lightning going on in the distance. Maybe we'll wait around as it gets a little bit darker and shoot that lightning. We've got a lot of opportunities. At this point, I don't care if I get any sleep tonight. This is what I live for. I want to give a special thanks to my sponsor Tamron for helping make these episodes possible. Tamron makes high-quality lenses for a variety of camera systems. Some of my very best photos were taken with Tamron.
So here we are on day number 49. It's just another day, another camp move, and another paddle stroke.
It's our last day on the water, and it is hot and sunny. High pressure has moved in, and probably it's going to be like this for several days. Tourists love this weather, landscape photographers hate it, so it's a good day to be getting off the water. And Joe and I are looking forward to getting back to civilization. This has been an epic photo adventure and an amazing 6 days on the water. And Joe and I have encountered a wide range of challenges and opportunities. We've had both cold and warm weather, thunderstorms, and hordes of biting insects. But we've also had some really amazing moments where the light broke out and just lit up the landscape in a way that was extremely photogenic. But this is the life of a landscape photographer. Sometimes you have to spend a week or more in the wilderness just enduring all sorts of pain that's getting thrown at you, just so you can have that one magical moment where everything works together and you get the shot of a lifetime.
I knew to pack light, I knew more or less what gear to pack, but not quite sure. They were quiet.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
The interrupting cow.
The interrupting cow. There it is.
Landscape photography isn't just about taking pictures of beautiful scenery. It's about telling the story of the landscape, and it's about telling your story as an artist. I'm professional photographer Yin Plant, and my courses are designed to give you the technical skills that you need to succeed and to help develop your own personal creative vision. So, are you ready to share your story with the world? Hey guys, thanks for watching. Here are a few more great videos that I think you'll enjoy and learn a lot from. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and get notified by ringing that bell so that you always know when we drop our next helpful video.